everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm Name here, and today I'm playing some more Cookie Run Kingdom. But today, I'm going to be doing a bit of a guide, I guess, some tips and tricks for chapters 11 and 12 of Cookie Run Kingdom. I'm going to be looking at the 5 hardest stages and giving some advice on how to beat them, because a lot of people have been asking me, and I realize, why not go through the 5 hardest stages? So the stages I'm going to be going through are 11-20, 11-23, I think it is. Is it 23? Pretty sure it's 23. 11-23, 11-27, I feel like there was another one I'm missing. Right, 11-30 and 12-30. So yeah, in case you can't tell, Chapter 11, probably harder than Chapter 12, but yeah. So I'm going to be giving some advice for all of them. I'm going to go in order of stage, not necessarily in order of difficulty. I could probably give an order of difficulty. If you want to ask in the comments, I can give it, but if I had to, I don't really know. Order of difficulty would be complicated. I'm not quite sure which one I'd say, because obviously it depends on teams, and I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do it in order of time, I guess, in order of when you will meet the stages. So starting off, 11-20, Market Square, the famous, hated Market Square, all because of these stupid cut purse, I guess is what their name is. They stun people. They stun you a lot. This stage's power level is 258,000. You'll notice my team's power level is 480,000. If I press play and press auto with nearly double the power level, I guarantee you I will lose. And I'm just going to prove that to you. I'm going to leave it on auto with double the power level, and we are going to lose this stage, probably. Actually, we might lose this stage. We'll see. I'm not giving any promises. I have a decent team for this, so I'm going to leave it on auto, and just to prove, I'm kind of hoping I lose this, but there's a chance I'll win. But this is sort of just to show you what the stage is. These are the enemy layout. Really, you don't really worry about the first 2 waves of enemies, but they can weaken your units. So you want to make sure you have enough healing to make it through these enemies without losing too much health. Because that's what they do. They will weaken you, and then they'll make sure your abilities are off cooldown for these 3 people. And I'm perma-stunned. Well, not perma-stunned, because they removed that. As you can see, I'm not having too hard of a time with the stage, but I still lost a fair bit of health. Still got stunned. Some of my abilities were interrupted. It's bad. And then you come in here, and there's 2 more of them. So it just continues onward even more. This is obviously me with double the power level, a lot of level 60 cookies. I should demolish the stage, and as you can see, I don't. It's not difficult, but it's not an easy stage. And as you'll see soon, after I go through all the advice, I actually have a pretty good team set up for this. So first things first, the main difficulty with this stage. It's not the main enemies, as I sort of went over. It is the cut purse, the stunning people, and so advice for stunning. Obviously, there is, I'm just going to go to the cookie guide for this, there is the brand new cookie from this most recent update, Cocoa Cookie.
Before we go?
Her ability, if you didn't know, where does it say it? Cookies restore HP for all the same time. Blah, 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 blah. Using a skill, she will briefly become resistant to interrupting effects. Cookie's regular attack will. Where is this? Okay, jumps into a giant, spins around for half time. Okay, HP for all out cookies except for summoned creatures, and makes them immune to stunning. She gives stun immunity to all cookies. And it's pretty darn good stun immunity. So, since the main issue for the stage is these stunning units, which, by the way, if you're looking at the stage and you're like, what, there are 4 in that area? This stage actually has been nerfed. There used to be 4 in that, first section of them, which could actually perma-stun you. They removed that. You can't get perma-stunned anymore, which is super nice. But as you will see, that stage was somewhat difficult. But if I throw in Cocoa Cookie, you will see how much of a joke it sort of becomes. I'm going to replace, I think, probably Raspberry. Yeah, probably Raspberry Cookie. And now you'll see that stun immunity is pretty darn great. Stun immunity will help out a lot. So obviously, if you have Cocoa Cookie, great. If you don't have Cocoa Cookie, and especially if you're not actually on 11-20 yet, it might be worth going for her. Because stun enemies are a big part of this chapter. And having that stun immunity, I believe it's roughly 50% uptime, as we'll see in a bit. It's pretty darn good, and as an actual tank, she's not bad. Her stats are pretty good, her damage is pretty good, her healing's not good. But for the most part, she's a pretty decent tank, and her stun immunity does have roughly 50% uptime, assuming you're using cooldown treasure, which you should be using cooldown treasure. If you're not, that's my first tip for you. I don't know how you made it to Chapter 11. Yeah, so Cocoa Cookie, as you will see here in 1 second, once we get her ability off.
I will not falter.
We now have stun immunity. They just die really, really fast. It's a joke. Stun immunity makes the stage super easy. It's only half uptime, so you will still get stunned a little. But if you actually are doing this manually, my recommendation is quite simple. Save the ability for the stunning enemies. You can easily do this ability timing better, and have Coco Cookie completely make the stage a joke for you. So, obviously, as I just said, Coco Cookie, the stun immunity, it definitely helps if that's your issue. They do a lot of damage, though, so that's going to bring me on to my next point. Healing! My personal recommendation, either Pure Vanilla or Herb Cookie.
Again and again.
Pure Vanilla Cookie is better if you don't have Coco, because Pure Vanilla's ability is instantaneous. And because if you get stunned, your ability is cancelled. Herb is definitely less effective. But either one works. You just need to have enough healing that you can out-heal their damage. So that's pretty good. If you are using Coco Cookie, by the way, mine's only level 41, you see, as you saw. She didn't even get that close to death, so you can probably go as low as, like, level 30, probably. And you're probably still fine. I just put, like, some random, like, low level, if not leveled up at all, rare, like, damage-resistant toppings. You don't need a time to keep her alive. But yeah, so healing, you definitely want some, like, Pure Vanilla or Herb. And then the last thing, if you don't have Coco Cookie or anything like that, absurd damage. Healing, a little bit of health, but absurd damage. You may have noticed that Vampire and Raspberry Cookie in my party there can one-shot them, or almost one-shot them. So having the combination of someone like Raspberry and Vampire, which you'll see are very common themes for all of these stages, are really, really good because you can severely weaken, if not one-shot, especially if they're already damaged, some of the cookies, some of the cut bursts, and then you're rarely getting stunned at all, so just a little bit of good ability timing. Licorice is also pretty good for that, plus his minions can do a little extra damage, but he also does some solid area attack, and then other support, like damage buffs like Pomegranate, Mango, defense weakens like Dark Choco, all pretty important. But at the end of the day, you do still need to have good ability timing, save your abilities for when they're coming up, memorize where they are, or, if you're like in my case, look for your gravestone on the track, and then that's where you need to use them. And with that, you should be fine. It shouldn't be that bad of a stage anymore. So yeah, that's my advice for 11-20. It should help you in a fair bit. 11-23. Stunning is no longer an issue. The basic enemies aren't hard, but they're not easy either. They're a little annoying, but not that bad. The main thing is the boss fight against Strawberry and Wizard Cookie. Few pieces of advice for that. Healing. I know I mentioned healing already. You need so much healing. I would definitely recommend a double healing strategy. In fact, I'm actually going to use a double healing strategy. Probably there. So I'm going to use a double healing strategy here. And I'm actually going to try this. So double healing and 2 heavy hitters like Raspberry Vampire. If you have Sea Fairy or something like that, obviously sometimes Black Raisin, they have really good damage as well. And area attack is not bad since there are still 2 cookies. But overall, you're going to be hitting the same one anyway since Strawberry Cookie will be in the front. So I'm going to go through the stage again and we'll take a look at it. But yeah, so definitely healing heavy hitters. So Raspberry, Vampire, Sea Fairy, Black Raisin, Licorice, all those heavy hitters are good. Area attack's obviously an advantage, but not necessary. The basic enemies are mostly just here to reduce the amount of time you have. So sometimes you're in a fine position, but generally it means you get to the boss fight with around 1.5 minutes left, which isn't bad, but it's not great. But overall, it's not that big of a deal, and it will help you out. So you do want to clear through these enemies as fast as possible, but they're not that big a deal. I'm pretty sure with the double healing here, I should be absolutely fine. I might turn off auto here for the boss fight, just, you know, just so I can actually show you proper timing, ability timing, so I will change the top for a second. Probably should have done that in the last part as well. Not a big deal. I did go over ability timing, but this time I'm just going to show it just to be simpler. The main thing that you obviously want is you want off-centered ability timing, in particular with your healing. You want to make sure you're healing with one when you're not healing with the other. So as you can see, damage-wise, between Raspberry and Strawberry, you do some pretty insane DPS. And with this setup, you heal, and you can pretty easily, with the double healing strategy, practically overcome their healing. You're not losing much health over time, and as you see, Wizard Cookie is getting destroyed. He's almost dead. We're going to finish him off any second now. And with that, he is dead. Yeah. And then we're moving on to Strawberry, who is a joke. So again, double healing. If you have a lot of healing, you can out-heal them. So then your issue would be time, in which case, as you see, I have 55 seconds left. I'll probably have Strawberry dead around the 45-second mark, a little under, next time I get my abilities up. But basically, heavy hitters like Strawberry and Raspberry, or not Strawberry and Raspberry, Raspberry and Vampire, I'm mixing up your Strawberries who are fighting, are really good for this stage because they do a lot of damage really fast. I didn't in this example, but one thing I will go over quickly, which will, again, come up in future stages, actually, I just got 3 stars then, is one treasure in particular is the Pilgrim Slingshot. You may have remembered if you ever were here for Chapter 10 boss originally. Basically, it does, I believe it reduces the defense of the target in the back, I think is what it does. Yeah, the rearmost target's defense by 58.8% at level 9. I believe it goes up to nearly 70%. Combine that with something like Dark Choco, and they have like 0 defense. It's really good. It can lead someone like Vampire at level 60 to be dealing nearly 1.5 million damage per attack, which is absurd. Because if we actually look at the health of these, do we see the health? We don't see the health, dang it. Pretty sure their health is around 3 million. So you can nearly take on half their health with 1 Raspberry attack if there's good time. Not Raspberry, Vampire attack if there's good timing. So Slingshot is definitely useful if you're struggling more. Definitely a good option. Obviously, again, my team's pretty powerful for the stage. It's not that surprising I won. But you can definitely do this with lower level characters. As you saw, I still had like 40 seconds left. I wasn't really losing much health. You can definitely do this with lower level teams. Especially if you're using... What was I going to say? Especially if you're using just insane DPS. Something like Sea Fairy, because I know Sea Fairy is OP. I don't have Sea Fairy, but Sea Fairy I know is really powerful, does insane damage. So she's definitely a good option here as well. And something like Hollyberry can tank, I guess, but I don't really know exactly how good Hollyberry would be for this. But then on to 11-27, we have Raspberry Cookie. Raspberry Cookie, Raspberry Cookie, Raspberry Cookie. I have a few pieces of advice for Raspberry Cookie. Number 1, pure vanilla, just straight up pure vanilla. Her health is 3.3 million, so once again, Raspberry, Vampire, etc., insane damage. What you want to be watching out for, I believe is, yes, Raspberry Reprise. Deals damage to the cookie with the highest attack, reducing their attack stat. Reducing their attack stat, no. One-shotting them. One-shotting them. It's absurd damage. Absolutely absurd damage. And Pure Vanilla, as far as I can tell, is the better option for this. Because of the instantaneous heal, it works really well. There are other cookies that can do it, but if you have Pure Vanilla, he's definitely good. If you don't have Pure Vanilla, my recommendations are an excess amount of healing. So Herb, if you have, who are the other good ones? I know Cotton Cookie's pretty decent healing. So like Herb, Cotton Cookie, maybe Cream Puff if you have them. Basically any good healing cookie, you want to spam a lot of healing, especially if it's fast healing. Slow overtime healing is not nearly as beneficial in the stage. And then again, insane DPS. So I'm going to go in with this team. This is, I believe, a similar team to what I used. I will use the defense topping for this one, especially since it's a single target enemy. So that's definitely important. Again, Pure Vanilla, if you have him, if he's high enough level, I believe I beat this with like a level 53 Pure Vanilla. That's enough. Like, obviously mine's 2 stars, so maybe more like 55 if he was 0 star. That's enough. Pure Vanilla is really, really good for this stage. He does an incredible job. But at the end of the day, you can use other healers, you just need a lot more of them. One thing I will point out, though, is that these enemies, especially, I believe, once you reach, is this where they come? Yes, these things. These explode into the cut purse again, which means you need to prepare, because they will stun your team. You don't want to destroy more than one at once. That is a mistake. You have to be careful. This is another situation where your cookies can easily die. Like, as you see, Raspberry's very close to death. And we're saved from Pure Vanilla, but that was a close flow stage. And you actually see here, I'm tanking damage so I can get my cooldowns up. It is a difficult stage, and it will not go well. Not in the slightest. So again, insane DPS, that was pretty decent. I didn't do that great. And you watch for as soon as Vampire, or in this case, highest attacker takes damage. You saw there, he got down to extremely low health. You need to be super prepared there. Vampire's really good here because of his life drain. It makes him better at tanking this. And then basically, as soon as Pure Vanilla's up, you use it. You see there, I just lost Vampire. I might lose this stage now. This is not an easy stage. This is an incredibly challenging stage, and it's all about having that proper ability timing. See, I'm off here. This is a bad setup. Okay. So I've actually lost this stage, as you see, with severely overpowered cookies. The power caps they recommend in Chapter 12 are just wrong. They are not the right power caps. I actually do recommend if you have full level cooldown trinkets, just spam pure vanilla if you have an earlier setup. I'm sort of doomed now at this point. But if I didn't have him, if I still had like Vampire up, for example, I could probably just spam pure vanilla and might have won still. In this example, I actually will stay alive simply because Dark Choco has so much life, but I won't do enough damage because too many of my cookies have died. The time will run me out, Pure Vanilla is dead, and I have lost. Due to time, actually. So yeah, even me with my insanely powerful team and a pretty good counter to the stage, I lost! Because Pure Vanilla's, or not Pure Vanilla, Raspberry Cookie boss fight is insane. Her damage is stupid, her attack speed is pretty stupid, her health's pretty good. Insanely hard fight. Like, insanely hard fight. Again, Pure Vanilla, max cooldown, as high health Pure Vanilla as you can. You just want to spam that ability. It's like, you want to get the timing right for the first one, then spam. Vampire's great because of his lifesteal. If not, probably bring an extra healing. Be careful of the damage, though, because the length of the fights are seriously bad. As you saw there, I came kind of close, but I still lost. I lost my Vampire because I wasn't spamming the Pure Vanilla ability cooldown, which after the first one, if you have a good first timing, I know you can do. Actually, I'm going to go back through that fight. I will cut to the boss fight, but I do want to show it off.
Meet your end.
So this is actually one of the situations you very much so want to avoid. I messed this up, and I lost, because I destroyed both coffins at once, and the cut burst unlocked me. Yay! I hate this stage. I will go ahead and say, I know some people find it easier.
Onward.
I consider this the hardest stage in Chapter 11 and 12. It is a brutal stage where your power level is practically meaningless. The power level they recommend is stupid. It should be closer to 500,000 or higher. Power level itself is a skewed system. It's a bad stage. There's so many ways to lose. These two things, you need to make sure, as I failed to do that attempt, you need to make sure you destroy them individually. There cannot be two cut bursts on the field at the same time, or you will lose. You will probably lose a cookie member, or you'll get stun locked. Especially if they're offset, they might promo stun you, and you will lose again. But unfortunately, in this stage, you don't really have the option to use someone like Coco Cookie. It's just not a choice you can do. So this stage, in this scenario, as you can see, I did a better job. He is dead. The first one's dead before I go into the second one. At which point, I immediately one-shot him. Never mind, I hit the wrong one. So I will actually heal up. Oh, I messed that timing. This is bad. Oh, this is bad, bad, bad. These stages are so annoying. Pretty sure I'm dead here because I don't have the Pure Vanilla ability up.
I will not falter.
Okay, that was bad timing on my part, but I might still have this. Maybe.
It's over for you.
Spam Pure Vanilla, spam Pure Vanilla.
I will not falter.
I am alive, so this method does work. I remember this working. I was just not confident in my ability to pull it off. So you can rely on just spamming the Pure Vanilla ability as soon as it's up, basically.
I will not falter.
Because of his shield and healing, you're barely able to keep it alive. And as you see, my damage output's pretty insane here. Realistically, you could pretty easily swap out someone like Licorice Cookie for a higher DPS cookie, such as Seafair or something like that to finish up the stage. But as you see, with slightly better ability timing and definitely praying a lot to Pure Vanilla, I have won. But the same idea goes for anyone. With similar cooldowns, if you have Pure Vanilla, you can judge it, or you can just try to find the cooldown timings that work. You need a lot of healing all at once when she attacks. Vampire's a really great unit to use. He has the highest attack, so he will get attacked in almost every scenario. Not to mention, he heals himself when he attacks, which is super good as well, and definitely comes in handy. Tough stage, hardest stage in the game. If you beat it, you're in a good situation. Royal Gardener, an easier version of that boss fight. So Royal Gardener, a very interesting thing about her, Royal Gardener is area damage. He doesn't have some absurd 1 million damage to a single cookie. He does area attack, which means any generalist healer, Pure Vanilla, in fact, I'm going to use just Herb. I'm going to use just Herb Cookie for this, and I'll probably still win. He has less health. He has 2 minions, which kind of sucks. So you might want some more area attack. But once they're dead, the stage is so much easier. You get to the boss fight with a little less time, and again, he has less health, he does a lot less damage. He's a much easier fight. He's still not easy, don't underestimate him, But I also believe there are no cut-burst enemies on the stage, no stunning people. So the stage just becomes significantly easier because of that. So you can pretty much use whatever healers you want here. You still want healers, debatably even more healers than in Raspberries because of how Raspberries works. It's all single target damage because of this stage's area damage. So your healing's technically more efficient. So you don't need quite as much healing, but you do have to be a bit more careful. Hope is not as good of a healer as Pure Vanilla. He's not. I didn't used to use Pure Vanilla. It was a mistake on my part, but it's true. Herb is definitely still an option, though, especially if you combine with a couple other pretty good healers, or even just one other pretty good healer. It does a good job. But let's go on to the boss. We are about to reach it. We have 2 minutes to spare. He will summon his minions, if I remember correctly, straight away. No minions, huh? I thought there were minions that he summoned. I didn't use my defense drain. That was a mistake. Yeah, I thought he summoned minions before. Did they nerf this fight for some reason that I'm just unaware of? This is so much okay. Well, this is a joke. I remember this stage having him summon 2 minions. He didn't do that anymore. We have 1 minute 27 seconds to spare. I didn't even use Pure Vanilla. I used my significantly lower level herb cookie, and we demolished the stage. Oh, this stage is so much easier than 11-27. But, yeah, I'll still give some tips for it, obviously. They're the exact same, basically, as 11-27. You just need less. It's Raspberry Cookie, but you need less healing, less damage, and there's no stunning enemies. If you beat 11-27, you really should be able to use almost an identical strategy, unless you cheesed 11-27. I know you can cheese Raspberry Cookie by making her attack summons. If you did it that way, then I have no idea what your power level is. You might just be too weak. All the power levels for this chapter, I will say this, most of the power level, the power tips, nearly double it. If your power level isn't like close to 1.5 times as strong as the power tip, you're probably too low power level. That's the honest truth, depending on what your team is. But there we go. That right there is 4 of the 5 stages. You officially made it to chapter 12. Can I go to chapter 12? Thank you. And you've almost won. Basically, once you reach chapter 12, you will realize very quickly, wait a sec, stunning enemies don't exist. Wait a sec, the stupid wagons don't exist. Wait a sec, these enemies are easier than normal. 12-13, pretty easy boss fight. I believe the health is, yeah, even less health, even less attack. I don't really know what the devs were thinking when they made chapter 12. It is just chapter 11, but the enemies are getting weaker until right at the end. Around like 12-20-ish, the enemies start getting pretty powerful. As you can see, the power levels are actually more accurate in chapter 12, I'd say. But mainly, there are a couple bad stage levels. In this stage, I lost a star. They have a lot of interesting units with these assassins and a lot of insane damage still. So you do want to be using some high healing. I'm not actually going to do this stage. You want some high healing. You still need some damage, but you don't need as much damage. Timings aren't really issues, except for that first boss fight, the Dark Chalk Wareham Brute, which is basically just an easier version of Raspberry once again, / the Gardener, so not too big of a deal, but something to keep an eye on. You do still need a lot of healing and tanking. That's just a thing throughout the chapter. You need health, you need defense, you need healing, and then you're probably fine. But finally, the stage you're maybe here for. Chapter 12, the final boss. 3 million health, oh, only 3 million. No, they're lying to you. You see, this boss has a second phase with over 10 million health, so in total he has roughly 14 million health, does a lot of damage, and is one of the hardest bosses in Cookie Run Kingdom. Is the hardest boss. Again, I know I just talked about Raspberry a ton. Very similar boss, very different boss. Raspberry Cookie will kill your cookies. The legendary Greenish Red Dragon shouldn't kill your cookies. You'll just run out of time. That's normally what happens. I will go through the boss. I cannot promise I'll win. If I lose this attempt, I'm not going to try it again. I tried this stage a number of times. There's no prep. You go straight into the boss, which is nice. They understand you have 0 time to prepare for this boss, so they are sort of respecting of that. Ability timing. You need the treasure that I recommended earlier, that slingshot treasure. Yeah, it's pretty much mandatory for this fight. I don't think it's possible to do enough damage otherwise. Someone like Seafair, just all the damage you can get. So again, Raspberry, Dark Choco, Pomegranate, Mango, Vampire, Licorice, Sea Fairy, DPS. We're on to the second phase, nearly 12 million health, and it continues. Normally there's story interrupting here, so that's, I guess, a bit of a break if you haven't beaten the stage yet, but obviously if you beat the stage, there's no story anymore. Again, look at the damage here. It's really not that bad. Damage should not be your issue for this stage, or not damage. Your cookies dying should not be your issue for this stage. You need a little bit of healing, but you don't need anything all that insane. You basically just go for damage. You need an insane amount of damage for this boss. I have a fair bit of health here, or time here, but my abilities are off cooldown, so the only one getting all this defense drain is Vampire Cookie, which is not the greatest. He definitely benefits from it the most, but still not the greatest. But I fixed that, and we actually should have good timing here, maybe. So I might beat this boss. It's looking pretty good. It's all about ability time. You need as much damage as you can possibly manage to pull together, and then you need to manage your abilities well so that you get all of these defense drains from the Slingshot and maybe Dark Taco or someone like that. You don't need healing. Oh no, you do need healing, but you don't need a lot of healing. Herb was definitely probably enough for this stage, but obviously better healing the better. I wouldn't recommend more than one healing cookie. If you're at that stage, you probably need a better healing cookie or a higher health healing cookie. This is the final stage in Cookie Run Kingdom. It's not an easy stage, but it's not that bad. It's all about being able to do as much damage as possible in as short amount of time as possible. And as you see here, it will be down to the wire. You will probably have quite a few times before you win, where the boss will be at like less than 100,000 health in the final seconds. Right now, I should be fine here, 40,000 health, 8,000 health. I had 10 seconds to spare. I would have gone one more ability volley. I could have probably done nearly an extra 1 million damage, but that's pretty tight. If you're playing this on dark mode, by the way, I have no idea what to do. I don't know if this stage is even doable on dark mode. I'm not on this stage on dark mode. If you were looking for dark mode tips, I suppose all the same still applies, just more, so up to you, I guess, if you could think that's doable. But yeah, this was mostly just to help you go through the 5 hardest stages, give some tips, some advice that I got from beating them all, so you guys can get ready for Chapter 13 and 14, get caught up on the story, be ready to start the stages, you know, when they probably nerf Chapter 11 and 12 again, because that's probably a thing. So, you know, if you want the ultimate advice, you can just wait. Cookies will probably get a buff, or the stage will get a nerf. One of the two will probably happen, so if you really can't beat the stages, don't worry too much. Soon, you'll probably be able to do it from some level cap increase or something like that. But yeah, thank you all for watching. If you do have any other advice, if I missed something, if you're like, hey, my team with this did really good on this stage, or this cookie's really helpful here, leave it in the comments. I'll probably make like a pinned comment or something at the top to show you any other advice. Like if you have some good suggestions, I'll add it to a comment, and yeah, you'll see that in the comments. So if something's outdated or seems odd to you, check the comments. There might be some extra tips in there. Consider giving the video a like if you enjoyed, and subscribing to join the Purple Elephant Squad. It's really nice. I do appreciate it. And yeah, have a wonderful day. I hope this helped you, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye!